Welcome to Expedition Dogman. My name is Jamie, and I will be your host for this evening. Please feel free to comment, subscribe, and like. Please share this video to your friends, as this will help the channel grow. I would like to welcome you to my channel. This channel has been set up to explore the mysterious cryptid known as dogmen. Throughout the coming weeks, we will be looking at different theories as to where the dogman originated from. But I think for this first episode, it is best to differentiate the truth. Some people believe that dogmen are werewolves, and vice versa. This is not the case. Werewolves are a separate, entirely creature altogether to dogmen. And the problem is, Hollywood, over the years, has got two and two and made six. And it all comes down to the psychology of the brain. And this is how they make their movies. They take one thing and then blemish it into something entirely different. And this is a subject I wish to concentrate on tonight. First of all, what is a werewolf? Hollywood would have us believe that werewolves transform at the full moon and go on the rampage, whether in a town, a city, a village, and target certain types of people. For instance, in the film Love Bite, they target virgins. In others, they accept sacrifices from villages. Either way, they kill people on sometimes a large number. But that's not what a true werewolf is. Werewolf, or werewolfism, is also known as lycanthropy. And lycanthropy is actually a rare mental disease or disorder, whichever way you wish to look at this. And what happens during this time is people will believe they are transforming into a werewolf. But the thing is, they do not physically transform. There's been two notable cases of this. One in France, about 20 years back, where a guy actually got sent to a mental asylum there for believing he was a werewolf. He went through physical changes, or what he believed were physical changes, that Hollywood have portrayed. But he never physically transformed, and this was under the full moon. He then went on to eat raw steaks, howl, and believe he had the tendencies of a wolf. Further on to this, in Hull, we had somebody near Orchard Park who believed they turned into a werewolf on the full moon, but he never actually physically transformed. And this is an important fact to remember. Lycanthropy is a scientific mental disorder. Now, how have Hollywood managed to get hold of this and make werewolf films? Well, there is a cryptid known out there known as a dogman. A dogman is a cryptid creature that is half wolf, half human. And these creatures stand about 7 to 8 feet tall, have amber eyes, snarling howls, quite disturbing howls in fact, and long sharp teeth and crooked claws that curve round. These creatures have been spotted all over the world. Throughout the weeks we will look into the different theories of how they exist, but for now let's get a basic understanding of what they do. Some are very aggressive creatures, some are passive. In the whole world they count as 1% of killing humans, as dogman attack is very, very rare. For those of you that don't know, a cryptid creature is something like Bigfoot, a Sasquatch. Dogmen are very similar in some degrees, but they have more canine tendencies. They can run about on hind legs. They can also run about on all fours. Some people have mistaken this to being bears or wolves. This is not the case. This is an entirely different creature of intelligence that we don't know much about, and this is what we hope to prove on this channel. So going back to what I was saying earlier about Hollywood getting 2 and 2 and getting 6. They've taken what they know of lycanthropy, they've taken what they know of dogmen, and they've mixed it all together to create entertainment. And the problem is that throughout life we've all read the books, we've all seen the films of werewolves. And this is where the stories originate from. So as we're watching films, what happens is we then start to process it. So if we run into one of these creatures, as I've listened to on countless podcasts on different sites, people have turned around and said, we dared think it, but we know what it is. A werewolf. That's all because of the type of films we watch. It's ingrained into our society that the werewolves would actually... That's as far from the truth as you're ever going to get. Paranormal Witness is a good example of dogmen. It is proven, but the problem is the government, not just the English government, but the governments all over the world, try to dumb this down because they don't want people to be scared. They don't want people to know the truth. Yes, I might sound quite outlandish with this, but to back me up, Expedition Bigfoot. They went to Washington. What was all over the area in what is known as a massive Bigfoot sighting area? Government helicopters. And not only that, people in the army, the government, have seen these creatures, but not many want to talk about this. The question is why? It's all down to the human brain. The human brain does not like to acknowledge what it doesn't know. We then go into fight or flight mode, where either we'll stand there, fight it, shoot at it, or we will run. It's because it's a fear of the unknown. And this is why not much is known about dogmen, because people don't want to accept the truth that these types of creatures do exist. I myself have had a personal experience that I'd like to share with you. We're going back to the summer of 2009, when I was staying at my grandparents'. It was July, and I was laid in the front room. I'd finished reading a book. Funnily enough, it was a horror book. Quite ironic, really, this. It was 1 o'clock in the morning. I was about to switch the light off, when all I saw, walking past the front room window, bearing in mind, this is a bungalow, and there was a street lamp directly opposite. All I saw was a crooked figure of a wolf. What looks like a human body with a wolf's head, and you could see clawed hands moving. I froze with fear. I wish back then I had gone outside to look, but I was too scared. I didn't think about this for many, many years to come, and it was only when listening to Dogman Encounters that my brain clicked, that I submitted a report to Dogman Encounters. I talked to a wonderful man called Vic Cundiff, told him what I saw, and he even agreed that what I saw was a potential dogman. Question then, why in the middle of a city would you find these? The answer is simple. You don't have to just look in the countryside to find a dogman. You can find them in the country, you can find them in the city, as long as there is a food source, plenty of water source. These creatures will live. Within Hull, we have Barnston Drain. What is known as the home of the old stinker? Please refer to my video, The Hunt of for Old Stinker, where I go into depth about the previous sightings of 2015. I will be doing podcasts throughout the weeks, like I said, and we will discuss and look at not only the beast of Barnston Drain, but other sightings around the world, like the case of the LBL, and the witness that has come forward to these truly horrific events, and try to piece together the facts, the truth, and what I believe actually happened in all of these cases. But just going back to what I said about Hollywood, and this is important to remember, do not believe everything you watch. As a great philosopher once said, there is more in heaven and earth than is dreamed of in our philosophy. And I will leave that note with you. When you're looking into dogmen and werewolves, just remember what goes. Welcome to Expedition Dogman. My name's Jamie, and I will be your host for this evening. Tonight, I would like to talk to you about dogmen. What exactly is a dogman? If you go down to the woods today, you better not go alone. Creepy statement, right? But what if I told you the creature we want to talk about was only found in myths and legends? Truly, if this existed, the true creature would be more horrifying than we truly first thought. It was a creature that is hairy, stands 7 foot tall, morphs between man and beast, has had harrowing eyes and a harrowing howl, and it wreaks havoc on the full moon. I'm of course talking about werewolves. I bet some of you were sat there thinking, but come on Jamie, these creatures don't truly exist. What about if I told you they did, but not as we think they are? Like I discussed in the previous podcast, werewolves are a totally separate creature. But what about if the true creature of myth and lore was real? What about if it was known as a dogman? Now, the question is, what is a dogman? A dogman is exactly how I've just described it. 7 foot tall, harrowing eyes, amber usually in colour. Harrowing howl that can be heard for miles around. Funny thing is though, it doesn't wreak havoc on the full moon. In fact, you could be walking down the street and you could in fact meet a dogman. There is many different theories surrounding what a dogman is. Some people believe it is interdimensional. Some people believe that it's the true creature of this world like Bigfoot. Some believe that a dogman is extraterrestrial, that aliens have in fact bred wolves and humans together to create a creature of immense power. Some even think the government have a hand in this and that the government know about these because it's their form of experiment. Today, I don't want to talk about any of that. Today, I want to look at the creature itself and the possibility that it is actually a flesh and blood creature that can be found all over the world. I bet some of you are thinking, but come on, this can't be true. Well, if we look on Google Maps and search up dogman sightings, there is numerous reports of this creature, of the fact that it's been spotted in the Americas, it's been spotted all over Europe, Asia, and even into Australasia. Interesting, right? So what exactly is it? How can it stand on the hind legs? This is an answer we cannot truly tell, because too many people, when they encounter this creature, are too scared. But if we look at the two different types of it, you have the canine type, and you also have the more humanoid type. Many people believe, like Bigfoot, that dogmen are the true inhabitants of this world. Highly plausible theory. But let's take a step back from all that for the time being. Let's just look at what this creature can do. Like most wolves, it is a very aggressive creature. It's one of those that, if provoked, could be life-threatening. It is actually an apex predator. Granted, deaths of humans are only 1%. You've got a 1,000,000 to 1 chance not only of encountering this creature, but also being attacked by it. It's more territorial in nature. From all the reports we've read, through everything we have seen, this creature likes to make dens. I alluded to in the hunt for the old stinker that they could possibly make nests. I seem to have got the terminology wrong on that one. This creature, in fact, makes dens. It can also breed. You have male, you have females, as you do with many different animals in the animal kingdom. Most creatures are scared of this creature, and it really doesn't make me wonder why. There is many different cases out there, like the case of the LBL, which we'll come to in coming weeks, that suggest that this creature is in fact attracted to people through different scents. If we look at it from a psychological point of view, say for instance you're wearing Lynx aftershave, you attract the opposite sex. This creature can be attracted towards its prey due to smell. But obviously, for it to be a real creature, it needs to live near water. It needs to live near a food source. So that's why you find most of these creatures are spotted along riverways, the sea, places like that. Anywhere where there is a good body of water. Also, it needs a good food source. Now, like a typical wolf, this creature will happily dine on deer, pheasants, anything that is big and substantial. Now, in most countries, it's fighting alongside the likes of normal wolves. It's fighting alongside bears for dominance. Now, in America, this is why you get so many cases of misidentification, due to the fact that different apex predators behave very similarly to dogmen. But the thing is, what makes dogmen truly horrific is they leave nothing behind apart from a ripped up carcass, disemboweled limbs all over the place. They don't understand how to clean up from each other. And like we do, we know how to clean up our messes, we know how to clean up our kills. Whereas in the animal kingdom, it is a totally separate case. Whereas in the likes of the UK, where we have them as well, where these dogmen are living, we don't have any apex predators. Not to the degree of what this creature can do. So the question is then, why is it being spotted? When, as we all know, in the United Kingdom, wolves went extinct in the 1500s to be exact. So what is it people are seeing? Is it a figment of the imagination? I don't believe so. I do believe people are seeing real living creatures and they know how to live in the shadows. They know not to interfere with humans because they've realised that humans have got guns. They can hurt them. So, like with anything, if you go to shoot at it, due to fear or fight or flight, whatever you want to call it, you're going to back off. You're going to realise, oh, wait a minute, this hurts. They've realised that humans are not the friendliest of species. Hence the reason these creatures choose to live in the shadows. The same can be said for Bigfoot. These creatures in origin have been around since early man, since the early recordings of history. If we look at Egypt as an example of this, you've got Anubis, who was a dogman god. He was half dog, half human. Also, Zeus cursed somebody to be a wolf. So, stories of these wolves or dogmen-like entities have lived throughout our history. So, if we look at it from that process, from that algorithm, these creatures have watched mankind develop, and they've seen that we're not scared to go up against them, so they'd rather live back in the mythology. They'd rather keep to the shadows. Occasionally, though, humans will intercept these creatures, and as we know, they are wild animals. They're not tame. You could befriend one, but it'd take you a long time to do it. So this then begs the theory, where is their aggressive nature coming from? And I go back to an earlier point that I made, the apex predator. They are top of their food chain. They're not scared of humans, which then is quite a sobering thought, really. We humans like to believe we are the top of our food chain. We like to believe we're the dominant species on this planet. But the question is, are we really? Are we so dominant that all creatures bow before us? No, we're not. I know this is turning into a bit of a philosophical debate, but it just goes to show there is creatures out there that will kill us if we step on their territory. It's like when we went to Barnston Drain the other week. We was getting growling at us because we stepped into its den. We stepped into something's den where it could easily be storing food. Granted, we didn't see any food because it could have been out hunting. So you're going to get warnings off these creatures, and if you don't listen to what they're trying to tell you, then they will take the actions necessary to get you off their turf. And I think, realistically, in some of the more grisly cases, in some more cases like the LBL, this is what's happened. People have stepped onto their colony and they haven't listened to the warnings they were given. So that covers the aggressive nature. Unfortunately, there is not much else known because people don't want to talk about them. And that's that goes back into the mindset that we discussed in our last podcast of werewolves are not what you think. It all comes down to the psychology, and because people are too scared of these creatures, they don't want to talk about them, and this is where it's difficult. So I implore you, to anybody listening who has had encounters, please email expeditiondogman@gmail.com and we will talk about this. And I will be fascinated to hear if you have encounters. And if you wish me to share them on this channel, I'm more than willing to do so. Or if you wish to just share them in private, you're more than welcome to. So, until next time, when we will discuss all things dogmen, just remember, be aware of the howl. Thank you for listening. Welcome to Expedition Dogman. My name is Jamie, and I will be your host for this evening. Please feel free to comment, subscribe, and like. Please share this video to your friends, as this will help the channel grow. And welcome to tonight's episode of Expedition Dogman. My name is Jamie, and I will be your host for this evening. I'd like to pose a question to you about the beast of Barnston Drain. Is it a werewolf? There's two ways we can answer this question. One is a short way, and the short answer is no. The long answer is a little bit more complicated, but to do this, we need to first understand what is the beast of Barnston Drain. In the city of Hull, in the United Kingdom, there is a drain known as Barnston Drain. It is known to be haunted by something known as the Old Stinker. This creature is 7 foot tall, very hairy, and has amber eyes, and has been there for many, many centuries. Eyewitness reports are usually hushed up because people don't want to talk about this. So now we have an understanding of what it is. Let's look at some eyewitness reports. I will leave a link to the Hull Daily Mail of 2015 when it was first spotted in recent times. There is two different eyewitness accounts that have come from this. One is that it was seen eating a German Shepherd on the banks of Barnston Drain by a couple who were walking their dogs that night. They spotted it, the creature spotted them, it got up, vaulted over the drain, and then vaulted over a 7 foot fence with the dog still in its mouth. The other eyewitness report was a singular person walking along the drain once again, and they spotted the creature, it saw them, it got up on its hind legs and ran off. Both of them were very startled. Most people would just shake it off, but and not even talk about it again. But both of these people were very honest people and very startled by what they saw. So let's look at the three different theories that have come from this. In the crypto world, most people would say this is the mistaken identity, that it's a black cat or something like that. But it can't be. Black cats do not walk around on their hind legs. They do not know how to jump a 7 foot drain and then go climbing fences. So I think that personally rules out that theory. The second theory, which is very laughable, is that it's somebody in a werewolf costume, and to me, no. One, humans generally are not 7 foot tall. Two, who in their right mind would be eating a raw German Shepherd, or a dog in general? That's just not heard of in this country. So I think that rules out them two. Three, is it a spectre? Well, to answer this one, we need to look at the area in general and the history of it. Barnston Drain is on a ley line. A ley line is energy conduits that travel the earth, generally near water. And for many years, Barnston Drain has been a paranormal activity hotbed. not just for werewolves and the old stinker, but for other factors of the paranormal of the ghostly kind. People down the years have reported seeing black-eyed children, disembodied voices in the night. Now, I have done ghost hunts and paranormal investigations at the Drain, and different voices are often heard. There's been many different paranormal teams trying to get to the truth of it, but everyone has come back and said it's unexplainable. So, is it a spectre? Well, wolves in the United Kingdom have been extinct since the 1500s. Is it a spectre of bygone days? Certain people believe it is. It's possible that's what it could be, but the bit that doesn't add up to me on that one is how can a spectre be eating a real German Shepherd carcass? It can't. For me, that is the one bit of definitive proof we need to rule out once and for all that the beast of Barnston Drain is not a spectre. So, here's my theory of what it is, of what is truly going on at Barnston Drain. And my theory is that it's a dogman. Now, as we all know, through listening to other podcasts on my channel and on others, dogmen are a cryptid creature. They are 7 foot tall. They're usually covered in fur with amber eyes. Now, what's funny about this is that in the whole Daily Mail, people reported that this creature has amber eyes. So, to me, this proves once and for all that it's a dogman. Now, the question remains as to what a dogman would be doing in Barnston Drain. In the UK in general, and most people believe they originate in America. This is far from the truth. Dogmen can be found worldwide. Anywhere where you've got cover for bedding, a water source, and a food source. These creatures are not very picky at what they will eat. So, for it to be eaten in a German Shepherd, yeah, I believe that one. It can happen. Now, going back to the theory of it being a werewolf, another thing that rules that out is that neither of the 2 sightings that were reported were on the full moon. As we know, werewolves generally transform on a full moon, but as we know from werewolves are not what you think, there is no physical transformation. So for once and for all, we can rule out the fact that this is a werewolf. But it is in fact a cryptid creature known as a dogman. Now, personally, I do believe there is more than one dogman within the area of Barnston Drain. If we look at Holderness in general, it covers quite a big distance all the way from Bridlington down to Spain Point and as far out as Driffield and Selby. This covers a massive area. So how can one particular creature be spotted all over the place? The short answer is it can't, and for a simple fact, it needs a lot of ground to cover. But there is those that theorise that dogmen are interdimensional creatures, and hopefully next week we will be having an expert from America come to talk on the channel about this. So I'll leave that one where it is for now. But going back to the theory that there is more than one, I do believe there is a pack of them in the area, and people are not just seeing one particular dogman. So I will leave that for you to think. Please do comment in the comment section down below as to what you think is going on at Barnston Drain. I will also leave the description to the news articles in the description below. And until next time, just remember what goes bump in the night and be aware of that. Hello and welcome to today's episode of Expedition Dogman. First of all, I'd like to give out a few shout outs for the courtesy of the photos. First one, Kurt Stearns and Paul Chaffin. Also, Kentucky Dogmanics Project. And also, Betrina Moss for supplying today's videos and photos. The subject I'd like to talk to you about today is Dogman, the real life predator. As we know, in the film Aliens vs Predator, and even in Predators, the predator has a habit of camouflaging and blending into its natural environment. The question is, does the dogman do the same thing? The short answer is yes. The long answer is a bit more complicated than that. Let's look at that for a minute. As we know, as we bend light, we can blend into our environment. Bigfoot know how to do this. It's something to do with the fair. Also, dogmen, can they do the same thing? Yes, they can. It's quite astounding, really, that dogmen have the ability to bend light to camouflage themselves into the natural environment. This is why we don't always see them when they are still around. So, why would they do this? Well, as we know, the dogman is an apex predator of huge proportions. So what's the best way to sneak up on somebody? Easy. Camouflage yourself into the environment so you can watch what is going on. Let's take a look at a few different examples of how they do this. The first image sent to me by TCP Lou, who also I'd like to give a shout out for being a very helpful gentleman, sent me one of a dogman clearly hiding in the bushes. But the thing is, this doesn't look normal. If you look within the red circle, it's got a green tinged glow to it. Why is this? Because it's hiding. And this evidence, I think, is most conclusive that we are always being watched. And to be honest, it is quite creepy that dogmen have the ability to do this. Let's look at some more evidence. When we was at Barnston Drain, we missed something of quite importance, and to me, this next photo closes the case of Barnston Drain as to what the old stinker truly is. The old stinker is actually a dogman. Now, further reviews of the evidence, I sent it abroad to TCP Lou, who's also known as Lieutenant, and got him to have a look at the video. Now, if we look at this next piece of footage, he's drawn a red arrow to where it was hiding, and it shows what actually set the horses off. Dogmen love trees. They love to hide in trees and survey the area. So that way, if they need to make a quick getaway, they can do this. Do you remember the growl? That if you look in the video of Hunt for the Old Stinker, we mention a growl. It is highly plausible that the fact of the matter is that the growl of this dogman set off the horses, which forced them to be spooked. So, look at the image, decide for yourselves. Also, if we look at this other one that TCP Lou has sent, you can see clearly within the circle a dogman, again hiding in the trees. The question is, why do they look so small? That, I don't honestly know the answer to the question, but as you can see from this image, it's blending into the background. What a perfect way to hunt. I'll review all this evidence and my thoughts in the final processes of this. Let's look at some more intriguing evidence that has come to light. Another person has come forward called Bettina Moss, and she has shown me some very intriguing evidence of what a dogman looks like. Again, the trees. If we look in this image, she's put two of them in one photo that she has underlined in red, which is very nice of her. Underneath it, you can see dogman, and the letters H and F. This is the height of the creature. Again, it's hiding in the trees. And again, if you look above that one, there is a little arrow indicating where it is. So if we look on this image and analyse it for a minute, where one dogman is, there is usually more. These creatures travel in packs. We'll get on to travelling and how they travel in a few minutes. Also, she sent me a video, and I'm not going to show the full video, I'm just going to show something that I found. About 20 seconds in, there's a little alcove. I've circled this for your convenience. And you can see clearly there is something on all fours walking out. Could it be a bear? No. Bears are usually not grey in colour, whereas dogmen have been known to be a variety of different fur colours. And for me, personally, this is a dogman coming out of the tree line and towards her. She didn't notice this one straight away. It was only when she sent me the video that I looked into this and found it. So I circled it and sent it back to her and said, look at this. She went, oh my days, I don't know what that is. Good spot. So, question then, why do dogmen travel in packs? Well, it's typical wolfish behaviour, and as we know from previous podcasts, these creatures are half wolf, half man, and these creatures have been around for centuries. So, let's tie in as well my little video on dogman sightings. How have they been travelling through the continents? Well, there is an answer to this one, and we will have a special guest on in the next few weeks who will describe this better than I can. Up in the north, in winter, there is a stretch of ice that covers a 50-mile stretch between America and Europe. So, this is how it's been getting around. Dogmen can travel 50 miles within one day, so you could easily cover this stretch. But what do you think to the evidence? Do you think dogmen are evil? Do you think they can harm us? The answers to these questions are a mixed bag, really. I do believe they can hurt us, but they don't go out their way to do it. Are they evil? Well, psychologically, as with any animal, even human, any creature has the ability of good and evil within them. So I don't believe dogmen are truly evil creatures. But saying that, as we know, the attack percentage is 1% on humans. So, I will leave it up to you to decide. Have a look at the evidence. Do you think dogmen are fact or faked? Until the next time, please be aware of the howl. Hello, and welcome to Expedition Dogman. My name is Jamie. I will be your host for this evening. Just before we start, I'd like to push for you to please like and subscribe if you're enjoying this content. I've noticed that over 86% of you are not subscribed, so do me a favour and hit that subscription bell and button, so that way you can be notified when the next upload is due. So, on to tonight's topic, dogmen, fact or faked. The first one is people. Are they just dressing up like werewolves and wandering around the woods? I don't believe they are. Why would they? That is a very interesting question. Why would somebody want to do that? I don't see how they could. Yes, fair enough, around Halloween you get spikes of these reports, and sometimes it could be people dressed up. But on the opposite hand of it, there is too many credible eyewitness reports out there stating otherwise, and also images that have been sent to me, people have shown to be genuine, and they are genuine. So I don't believe it's a case that these creatures are people dressing up. The next one is misidentification. Well, to be honest with you, it depends what part of the world you're in. If you're in America, yes, sometimes it could be bears, wolves, coyotes, and other creatures like that. But then you've got to look at the fare of dogmen. Bears are known to be black and brown, whereas dogmen, they've been noted to be grey in colour, which is more like wolves. Yes, certain parts of America do have wolves, but normally, again, wolves do not walk around on their hind legs. They physically are not born with the ability to do that, and it's not within their genetic makeup to do it. So I don't think, generally, it's a case of misidentification. There is no concrete evidence saying that this is the case. Yes, sometimes people can spot bears, and they do have similar aggressive tendencies to dogmen. But again, bears cannot walk for ages on their hind legs, whereas dogmen have been proven to do this. Another theory is it's just a trick of the mind. Possibly this could be the case, but why? Why would your mind want to pull tricks like this? For references back to this, I'm going to take you back to one of our early videos, werewolves are not what you think they are. It's all to do with a Hollywood persona. We have been pushed down to believing that these creatures can only be spotted on a full moon, and that there is a human behind them that is being transformed into them. And to be honest with you, I find that a load of bull crap to believe. Sorry for swearing, but I am truly on the fence that dogmen are real, and there is enough scientific evidence out there. Again, looking at another persona of this, people seeking attention. Usually this happens when there is a spike in cases, especially when you listen to certain YouTube channels out there, which I will not name, that the case of the LBL is a good one of this. Somebody out there called Roger, who we will talk deeply about in another video, there is the story of the LBL. All it takes is for somebody to research this, put two and two together, and insert themselves into the frame. but we'll go on about that another time. So yes, within spikes, people can seek attention, but that is still beside the point as to what these creatures truly are. And again, the fact is, the stories of this creature go back centuries. They go back to more or less the beginning of time, back to the early days of mankind. I'll cover this in another video in greater depth, but some believe that dogmen and Bigfoot are the natural inhabitants of this world. So if they are here, again, like with the dinosaurs, there is cave drawings of this, then does it not go to prove the existence of dogmen? And as well, dogmen appear through history deep down into the mythology of lore of ancient Egypt and Greece. If we look at Greece, there is the story of Zeus and how he transformed one of his kings into a wolf for a certain amount of time, and this person still had the ability to walk on hind legs. Also, if we look into ancient Egypt, you have the story of Anubis. Anubis has been depicted as a half dog, half man creature. So, these all can't be wrong. People get their stories from facts. Let's look at this for a second. You have fact goes into legend, legend goes into myth. Same can be said if you look at it on the reverse. Myth into legend into fact. Every story out there has basis of truth within it. So do the dogmen. And as we know, most things are spread word to mouth, mouth to word, and people can emblemish it to a degree. But the truth is far scarier than we know. As Sherlock Holmes once said, once you rule out the possible, whatever remains, no matter how improbable, must be the truth. This is certainly true where dogmen are concerned. And as well, as a final point, let's look at the government. Why would the government want to be covering these creatures up if they are not real? If they weren't real, then there'd be more evidence and more stories out there. And the government is doing a very good job at covering it all up and stopping people from knowing the truth. So my final thoughts is, it depends on what you believe, but there is enough credible eyewitnesses out there, enough evidence is now being found, and I think it's only a matter of time before the time for stories is over and the truth of the dogman is revealed to the world. But as well, as one final thought, why would these creatures want to become known to mankind? Why would they reveal themselves? They wouldn't, because unfortunately, humankind is known to be very destructive, and whatever they can hunt, they will. It goes back to our make apology. Look back to the early cavemen. We are hunters, and some would even call us locusts. We consume a lot, and then we move on to the next. Has Dogman been watching us for years, just like Bigfoot, and realised, am I next on the hunting list if I reveal myself fully? Who knows? But as more evidence comes to light, I'm sure the truth will prevail. So until next time, thank you for tuning in. Please remember to like, comment and subscribe to this channel. But until next time, be aware of the howl.